Welcome to DSTV. On this episode, I'm meeting Dhruvil Patel, who is a medical doctor who's doing his residency at the University of Chicago. So I'm walking to meet Dhruvil Patel. Hey, man.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Been a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's like 8 years?
Yes.
Oh,
Back from undergrad, now medical school finished, and now here at the medical center.
Medical center?
Yeah.
At the University of Chicago?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, I can't believe this. You've been to school the entire life.
So far, and I think I'll still be for some time, but I think in a place like this and the opportunities we have at our medical center, it's so worth it to be able to put in the effort.
It's so worth to put in the effort.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'm really glad that you agreed to do this because, I mean, I want to learn about your story.
Absolutely.
Last time I met you, you were an undergrad.
I was learning from your story.
I mean,
now at least I have a few more to share to you.
That's what I want to hear, and that's why we do this, right? That's why we do this. We bring stories about, people who have come from the diaspora. Obviously, your dad came from India.
Yeah.
And, to get these opportunities, for you, life is different, but you don't just get them. You have to work hard, really.
Absolutely. But I think really what drove me was seeing the choices my mom and my dad had to make. I see now the choices even my wife's family had to make, learning about their history. From both of those together, what I feel is I have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of here in the United States. And the best way that I can do that and the best way I can do right by them is just truly follow what they did, which was never take your foot off the gas.
Never take the foot off the gas.
And do it so that you're helping other people, but not by bringing any other people down. And I think the field of medicine has given me exactly that. Oh, my goodness.
I want to be able to hear the entire story. Yeah. So what's your name again? So share who you are and what you are doing in Chicago.
My name is Dhruvil Patel. I'm a second-year resident at the University of Chicago Medical Center, right down the street here. We're here at our main campus of the University of Chicago. My residency is in internal medicine and pediatrics, but my end goal is to be a cardiologist for individuals born with heart disease. It'll be a long training path, but I think it's one of the most gratifying careers available, and I'm absolutely willing to take all the effort it requires to get to that. I guess my main interest, though, don't just lie in helping patients at the bedside. I really do want to be a researcher, an academic individual who can take insights that I find in the lab and translate it to the bedside, kind of similar to the work that you've been doing. And I think from my experiences in the undergraduate and medical school times, learning from Fidelis here as well, I think I've been able to at least characterize a few things that drive me. And as I implement them kind of from a day to day, I always feel leaving the day with the same energy that I came in with.
Oh, wow. Living the same every day with the same energy that you came in. I mean, it's really a great pleasure to meet you. And so I was looking at this signpost of the University of Chicago. It's a big school.
It's a fantastic school. I did not know too much about it until I matched over here. My main aim, I'll be very honest, was to follow my wife to the city.
We'll talk about that one too.
But there's 5 major medical centers here.
5 major medical centers at the University of Chicago.
Exactly, and University of Chicago is one of them. I mean, frankly, the advantages that this university had that I found to be very beneficial is they have the medical center and the main university next to each other. So you get to collaborate, you get to see, develop insights from a lot of the other academic institutions.
So the hospital, the labs, everything's close together.
Exactly. So like if we're here kind of in the center, what we're going to do is walk down one of the sort of main congregating points at the university here. It's a very beautiful place, very peaceful place. I go to walk there often when I need a break from residency time. And I want to share that with you too.
Let's do it. I think it's time to take a break as well. But let's walk and see. I mean, it's still a great place. I'm still amazed at how the efforts you put in. You did your undergrad, you finished, passed, went to the medical school, done. Now you're doing your residency. You've already done 2 years.
It's so far almost done my second year. I'm halfway through it. And the difference between your first year and second year is the first year you're learning, it's called their intern year, where you have senior residents and attendings above you. You're learning how to work in the hospital. You're learning all the basics of placing in orders, basic medications, things that you're learning in medical school, but you don't apply until you really have a patient in front of you that's doing better or doing worse. And so residency in the first year really teaches you that the buck stops with you. You have to take full responsibility.
Oh, the buck stops with you.
You
That's
have
what
to develop your skills.
First year.
Exactly. But now my second year, now that you have that as a habit, you're attempting to lead a team of interns, teaching them, and also taking care of more and more complex situations. Yeah.
So how long, Dhruvil? So residency, typically, how long does it take?
Absolutely. It really depends on what the specialty you're trying to do is. My specialty is internal medicine and pediatrics. With that, and internal medicine and pediatrics separately, but combined, either or have a lot of fellowship training after that, because you can super specialize in things like cardiology, gastroenterology, pulmonology, intensive care medicine, or choose not to specialize, in which case you can do primary care or be a hospitalist, meaning rounding in the hospital itself. But when it comes to residency, lots of options. But most importantly, the job of residency is to give you exposure to each one of those. So as a resident, you, in the United States system at least, every 2 weeks to every month, you're rotating on different services, as well as the general services. So you'll get cardiology experience, for example.
You rotate and be able to get all the experience.
Exactly. And simultaneously, you'll have patients that you see in clinic, so you learn how to be an outpatient physician too. And in all of those experiences, you kind of pick a path after and choose.
So when you pick a path, that's what you're going to do during your fellowship.
Exactly. Now, the caveat is there's other residencies, the surgical ones, because mine is medical. I don't do procedures that often, but the surgery residencies are also having their own subspecialties if you want to. But a few of them also you complete and then you are that kind of physician. So really the amount of, to answer your original question, the amount of years it takes varies based on the residency you choose. It can be anywhere from 3 years for some emergency medicine programs, all the way up to 7 to 8 years for research, surgical programs, or neurosurgery programs, for example.
Wow.
The fellowship will be then years on top of that.
We don't make this stuff up. Today we have brought to you Dhruvil Patel. He's actually a medical doctor. He's now a resident at the University of Chicago. He's not stopping here. You'll listen to him speak. Look at his face. This guy is determined. I mean, we say he's killing it. The way they say it in the US. And that's why we bring you these stories, to inspire you to be able to also achieve at your own, career as well. So what is all the, I see it's a very beautiful gate. So where are we right now?
Yeah, right now we're entering the main quadrangle of our university. I would say, doing a lot of research about universities across the United States, a lot of the older ones, the ones more than 100 years old, for example, they were really developed in mind with keeping all of these buildings where the lecture halls would be surrounding a main open area of space so that students can congregate, collaborate, and be in the outside. So we're entering one of those spaces, one of the main spaces here at the University of Chicago for it. And you see these
so
buildings.
Beautiful,
like some of these buildings, they're hundreds of years old. That's
they're
why we have all these
maintained.
vines and everything.
Yeah,
it's a really beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place. So, Dhruvil, so after residency, fellowship, and then after fellowship, again you go for further training.
Yes.
Oh my God!
But the point of it is,
it's a long journey, right?
It's a long journey, but I would say that the point of it is, and most who are interested in the medical field, they're doing this because they really want to help people.
Yeah.
But there has to be a responsibility associated with it. You have to be competent, and the only way you can be competent is through experience. And one patient, to learn from them, often can take days, which is why the training is so long and so intensive. But there's such a responsibility involved in making one decision versus the other, making critical assumptions in one point versus the other, being able to react immediately to what one patient says versus what one patient appears as in their objective and vital data. All of that takes a lot of time to build intuition and experience and skill. And the only way you can do it is by doing, but you have to do it over years. And you have to apply it in various scenarios, in very different kinds of intensive and also comfortable environments to really build that intuition of seeing a patient and understanding this is the trajectory they will go to, and this is how my decisions might influence them. But the other thing is, it's an ever-evolving field. It is an evolving field. And every single day, I mean, new technologies, new medicines, research, new emerging diseases. Exactly. Oh my God. And new classifications of an old disease. New treatments emerging of something that we thought once was doing well for a patient, but actually might be hurting them. Those rules are changing so fast, and being able to understand the fundamentals so then you can take that knowledge immediately and apply it at bedside is a critical part of why residency is required and needed. I personally felt when I came in from medical school that, oh, wow, I have so many years. Is it really necessary? And as I'm going through them, absolutely it is necessary. There's nothing that replaces the fear you have when you have a patient who has come in immediately and it's your responsibility to see if they are going to go from dying under your hand to living with their family.
it is an experience worth fighting for. We are talking about saving lives.
But
we are talking about prolonging life.
But I'll say the tools and resources available here make it, I think, a little bit more comfortable to do. And in other resource-strapped, I would say, environments, right? Like clinics back in India, for example, the ones I've seen. Individuals there have been able to create so much with so little and still provide the same amount of care that we do here, for example. And
that's what we're going to talk about, and that's why we came to talk to you, because originally, I mean, your parents are from India.
Yes.
And we have a big spectrum of, livelihood in India, where we have the super rich and the super poor, similar to Africa. And that's why, folks, we bring you these stories. Today is the story of Dr. Dhruvil Patel, who's a resident here at the University of Chicago. I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at his efforts, at his journey. I wonder what really inspires him. We'll find out. He has some philosophies that he espouses too. And those are the ones who want to be able to learn, because this guy is going places. I can tell you, 8 years ago, I never imagined that this is the Dhruvil I'm going to meet. Today it's Dr. Dhruvil Patel. We used to joke like, I'm going to become a doctor too, right? So thanks so much for doing this. Show us around the campus.
Absolutely.
But we're going to start your life from the very beginning, because, I mean, you are Canadian, you are American, you are Indian. What are you? You lived in Tanzania, in Africa?
I did, yes. I would say that I was born in India. Now, my dad, when he was
I thought you were born in Canada.
No, in India. Yeah, I was born in India.
You have a history.
I have a bit of a history, I think, and it's one that thankfully my parents did not let me forget, and I'm very happy that they chose to do that, because my dad, and I start with the story from my dad and also from my mom. Both my dad especially, he grew up as the youngest of 5. And at a time where his dad had passed away when he was just about coming of age, around 17 or 18 years of age. And in our village, in his village back in India, there's not many opportunities to get a higher level education. So he opted for a diploma in engineering.
Wow.
What that diploma allowed him to do is at least get into conversations with individuals from our village who had moved out to the cities and had created companies, one of which had chosen to sponsor his education and actually stated that you can go to the Middle East for a little while to be able to develop competencies practically, kind of like a residency, but for his job. My dad actually initially went to Saudi Arabia. He worked there for a year or 2.
You are globally schooled, my friend.
Yeah, and then he worked there for a year or 2 at the age of 18, made money, came back and used that money to marry my mom. My mom, she both of her parents passed away when she was very young, around 4 or 5 years of age. So she did not grow up with any parents. She grew up at her aunt and uncle's house and took care of her younger brothers. But she did so with a lot of determination and a lot of creativity.
I'm beginning to see where your determination comes from.
And then she wanted to be a nurse, but she knew the limitations of her situation, where she was the oldest daughter in the family, and it would be beneficial if she were to get married, essentially. And that's when really my mom and my dad, they met. My dad, with the money he earned from Saudi Arabia, used that to fund his wedding. And once they got married, eventually my mom got pregnant, but my dad knew that his end goal and a better life would be in the West. But at that time, the West had an immigration system, which Canada in particular still does, of one that you require points, where you have to develop points in language, experiences, references. And once you meet enough points, then you are able to at least apply for a visa to come to Canada, for example.
Wow, hold that thought, Dhruvil, because your story is just amazing. We're going to pick it up from right there. You know, you have to earn points at that time to come to Canada. The story maybe isn't different now.
It's a little bit different, but it's still a similar system. Still a point system for Canada as well.
Still a point system.
But they have a few more other steps. I'm not too familiar with them now, but I have a few relatives and family friends going through the process. And when they tell me about it, it reminds me of what my dad told me.
Sure.
You know?
We'll be right back, folks, because in this show, this is different. If you are not inspired, I don't know what will make you get inspired. This is Dr. Dhruvil Patel at the University of Chicago. We'll be right back. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you.